The needle on the gas gauge twitched nervously, mirroring the knot tightening in my stomach. The Californian highway stretched out before us, a black ribbon swallowed by the inky night. Our headlights barely pierced the dense shroud of darkness, revealing only fleeting glimpses of scrubland and desolate hills. I glanced at my wife, Sarah, her face an unsettling canvas of pale moonlight and worry lines. Our decision to leave the well-lit interstate for a shortcut seemed increasingly unwise. The silence was suffocating, broken only by the rhythmic hum of the engine and the eerie creak of the old gas station sign, swaying like a hanged man in the desert wind. The station itself looked abandoned, more like a forgotten relic than a business. Yet, desperation trumped common sense, the empty gauge leaving us no choice. As I pulled in, the station's single light flickered on, revealing a grimy man at the pumps. He turned, his eyes glinting like polished obsidian in the sudden light. A shiver ran down my spine, something about him was deeply unsettling. His smile, stretched too wide, revealed chipped teeth and a darkness lurking within. "Help yourself," he drawled, his voice rough and gravelly like sandpaper on bone. We filled the tank, his gaze never leaving us, each rustle of our clothes seeming amplified in the tense silence. Sarah finished paying, clutching her purse a little tighter, her knuckles white. "Leaving so soon?" the man chuckled, the sound devoid of humor. Sarah mumbled a polite goodbye, but his dark eyes held us captive. "Forgotten something, have you?" He gestured towards the car with a long, skeletal finger. "Left something valuable back there." My heart hammered against my ribs. He knew we were out of our depth, alone in this deserted outpost. Sarah's terrified gasp confirmed it. He took a step closer, his smile widening further, revealing his true intent. Not theft, but something far more sinister. Suddenly, a deafening roar shattered the silence. Headlights blazed in the distance, growing steadily closer. A truck materialized from the darkness, its horn blaring a discordant symphony. The man recoiled, momentary fear flickering in his eyes. In that split second, we knew our chance had come. Slamming into the car, I threw it into gear, tires squealing in protest. We roared past the stunned figure, his shouts lost in the wind. The truck followed, its presence a comforting shield against the unseen darkness. But even as we sped into the night, adrenaline coursing through our veins, a chilling question lingered: was it truly over? Or had we merely escaped one predator, unaware of what else lurked in the vast, unforgiving expanse ahead? The ending remains open. Did the truck offer genuine help, or were they drawn in by the station's ominous light, becoming the next victims? Did the man retreat, or is he waiting further down the road, fueled by vengeance? What dangers wait in the night, unseen and unknown? The questions are left hanging, leaving the audience to ponder the character's fate and the unsettling possibilities that lie ahead. The truck tailgated us mercilessly, its high beams boring into the back of our car. Panic choked my throat, Sarah clinging to my arm like a life raft. "Are they with him?" she rasped, her voice barely a whisper above the engine's roar. I couldn't answer. The silence between the rumbling vehicles became a battleground of unspoken fears. Was it just another weary traveler, or a wolf drawn to the scent of our terror? I dared a glance in the rearview mirror. The truck's grille remained impossibly close, the driver obscured by darkness. Suddenly, the highway dipped into a valley, swallowed by an even deeper cloak of gloom. The truck's taillights winked out, then reappeared farther ahead, flickering erratically. My stomach lurched. They were slowing down. "He's trying to box us in," Sarah cried, her voice laced with hysteria. Desperate, I scanned the darkness for an escape. No turnoffs, no breaks in the tree line. Just the endless asphalt ribbon and the unseen truck closing in. I swerved, hugging the shoulder, tires kicking up gravel. The truck swerved too, mirroring our every move. "He knows this road," Sarah shrieked. "He planned this." My blood ran cold. If this wasn't just a chance encounter, we were trapped. Adrenaline pulsed through me, pushing away fear. I wouldn't be another victim trapped in the darkness. Spotting a sharp bend ahead, I took a gamble. Bracing myself, I slammed on the brakes, sending the car into a controlled skid. The tires shrieked, smoke billowing around us. The truck screeched, but not fast enough. It plowed into the back of our car, a sickening crunch shaking us to the core. The world spun. Dazed, I checked on Sarah. She was shaken, but conscious. My own body throbbed with pain, but adrenaline kept me going. The truck was motionless, its front crumpled like a discarded tin can, but there was no sign of the driver. Eerie silence descended. Had they fled, leaving us for dead? Or were they waiting in the shadows, their intentions even more sinister? Fear pricked at my skin like 1,000 needles. We couldn't stay here. Sarah, her face pale and drawn, nodded in agreement. I crawled out of the car, wincing at the sting of fresh scrapes. Sarah followed, her steps uneven. Together, we crept towards the silent truck, hearts pounding a frantic rhythm in our chests. The moon, a ghostly sliver in the sky, offered little light. Reaching the driver's door, I hesitated. What awaited us on the other side? With trembling hands, I pulled the handle. The door creaked open. The truck was empty, but on the crumpled passenger seat, bathed in the faint moonlight, lay a single object, a worn photograph. It depicted a smiling family, a husband, wife, and 2 young children. Their faces mirrored the chilling realization dawning on mine: this wasn't a lone predator. We were just the latest targets in a twisted game. And somewhere out there, in the vast darkness of the Californian night, the hunter still lurked. The open road, once a symbol of freedom, now stretched before us, an endless expanse of uncertainty and fear. The question wasn't if we would escape, but who and what awaited us at the end of this terrifying journey. The photo slipped from my grasp, fluttering down to join the shattered glass littering the asphalt. Sarah whimpered beside me, the silence broken only by the rhythmic chirping of crickets. The stillness felt ominous, pregnant with unseen danger. We need to get out of here, I whispered, urgency lacing my voice. But escape felt like a fleeting dream. Our car was disabled, the truck an undrivable hulk blocking our path. The highway stretched endlessly in both directions, swallowed by the inky blackness. Which way? Sarah's voice cracked, barely audible. Panic gnawed at me. Every instinct screamed, run, but run where? Towards unseen threats or the familiar terror of the man at the gas station? Despair threatened to consume me, but the image of the smiling family flashed in my mind, fueling a desperate resolve. Suddenly, a faint flicker of light caught my eye. Just beyond the tree line, barely visible, a pinprick of warmth cut through the darkness. Hope, fragile and fleeting, sparked within me. It could be anything, a farmhouse, a deserted truck stops, or even another predator's trap. There, I rasped, pointing towards the flickering light. We need to find that. The trek through the dense scrubland was agonizingly slow. Every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig sent shivers down my spine. We moved like shadows, fear our constant companion. Finally, the trees thinned, revealing a small, ramshackle building. Smokestacks sputtered, casting an orange glow onto the weathered wood. A sign, barely legible in the dim light, proclaimed it to be Miller's Rest Stop. Relief washed over me, but caution held me back. This haven could be an illusion, a mirage designed to lure us to a worse fate. Stay behind me, I murmured, gripping a loose rock in my hand. We approached the building cautiously, the smell of wood smoke filling our nostrils. The door creaked open with a groan, revealing a dimly lit interior. An old man sat hunched over a crackling fire, a worn dog at his feet. He looked up, his weathered face etched with surprise. The dog growled, low and guttural. Help us, Sarah pleaded, her voice trembling. Please, the man's gaze flickered between us, his eyes filled with a mixture of suspicion and weariness. Slowly, he rose, his movements stiff with age. You shouldn't be out here this late, he rasped, his voice gravelly. I explained our ordeal, the empty truck, the missing driver, the haunting photo. The man listened, his expression unreadable. When I finished, he remained silent for a moment, staring into the fire. Then, he spoke, his voice low and measured. "There's evil on this road," he said, his words heavy with experience. "It preys on the lost and the desperate. You aren't safe here, not for long." He turned towards the back of the room, revealing a dusty door leading into the darkness. "But I can offer you shelter," he continued, "for a price." The price, he explained, was information. Details about the man at the gas station, anything we could remember. His knowledge, he claimed, might hold the key to escaping the unseen horror that stalked the highway. But as he spoke, a shadow flickered at the window, a glimpse of movement in the darkness outside. Was it the truck driver, returned and waiting? Or something far worse? We were caught between the devil we knew and the darkness beyond, forced to make a choice that could seal our fate. The suspense hangs heavy. Will they trust the old man, hoping his knowledge will lead them to safety? Or will they flee into the unknown, pursued by unseen dangers? The choice, and their very survival, hangs precariously in the balance. We exchanged a silent glance, the weight of the decision pressing down on us. My hand instinctively tightened around the rock, knuckles white with tension. Sarah's eyes searched mine, reflecting the fear and uncertainty churning within me. "What kind of information?" I asked hesitantly, buying us time. The old man shuffled closer, his eyes glinting in the firelight. "Everything," he rasped, voice rougher than before. "Every detail about the man, the station, the photo. I need to understand the darkness you faced." His words held a cryptic edge, leaving me wary. What did he hope to achieve with this knowledge? Was he truly an ally, or simply another predator disguised as a savior? Meanwhile, the shadow outside the window remained, a silent observer to our internal struggle. Was it our imagination, or did it seem to grow closer, more defined? Fear urged me to run, to disappear into the night and take our chances on the desolate highway. But a flicker of hope, fueled by desperation, kept me rooted in place. Perhaps the old man held the key, a forgotten path through the treacherous darkness. "All right," I finally rasped, my voice heavy with doubt. "We'll tell you what we remember." Relief flickered across the old man's face, but it was quickly replaced by a steely glint. "Good," he said, his voice low and firm. "But remember, time is of the essence. Tell me quickly, before the darkness finds you again." As we recounted our ordeal, piecing together every detail from the gas station encounter to the abandoned truck, the old man listened intently. The dog at his feet growled occasionally, its gaze fixed on the window, its fur bristling. As I finished describing the photo, the old man's face contorted in shock. "The Millers," he breathed, his voice laced with fear. "They vanished just weeks ago, presumed victims of a highway robbery." The revelation sent a fresh wave of chills down my spine. If the man we encountered was responsible for the Millers' disappearance, what did that mean for our chances of survival? Suddenly, the dog erupted in a frenzy of barking, its head snapping towards the window. The shadow outside was gone, replaced by the faint thrum of an approaching engine. "He's here," the old man hissed, his face twisted with urgency. "Take the back door, head deeper into the woods. There's an abandoned mine shaft, follow it north. It'll lead you to safety." He shoved a worn map into my hand, his grip surprisingly strong for his age. "Remember," he warned, his voice barely a whisper, "stay in the shadows. He can't sense you there." Without another word, he ushered us towards the back door, his dog snapping at our heels as if urging us on. We plunged into the cold night, the map clutched in my sweaty hand, the sound of approaching tires growing louder with every frantic step. The darkness embraced us, swallowing us whole. Yet, within its inky depths, a sliver of hope remained. The old man's words echoed in my head, a desperate gamble against the unseen terror that stalked the highway. But would the mine shaft offer true sanctuary, or lead us deeper into the clutches of the darkness? And what awaited us at the end of this desperate escape? The answers lay hidden in the labyrinthine darkness, waiting to be unearthed. The chase was on, and the path ahead was shrouded in terrifying uncertainty. The woods were a symphony of rustling leaves and snapping twigs, each sound amplifying our pounding hearts. We stumbled through the dense undergrowth, guided only by the moonlight filtering through the canopy and the crumpled map in my hand. The sound of the approaching engine faded, replaced by an unsettling silence that felt even more menacing. We reached the mine shaft, a gaping maw in the earth, its depths shrouded in impenetrable darkness. Fear gnawed at me, whispering doubts. Was this an escape or a trap? But what other choice did we have? With a shared grimace, we descended, the air growing stagnant and thick with dust. The map offered no guidance within the labyrinthine tunnels, leading us deeper into the heart of the darkness. Shadows danced on the rough walls, morphing into monstrous shapes with every flicker of our headlamps. Hours melted into what felt like an eternity. Sarah's hand trembled in mine, her labored breaths echoing in the oppressive silence. Just when exhaustion threatened to overwhelm us, a faint light flickered ahead. Hope flared, weak but persistent. Reaching the source, we found ourselves in a cavern, its walls glistening with moisture. An old pump clattered rhythmically, casting the light source. But our relief was short-lived. In the corner, slumped against a rock, lay the old man, lifeless, his eyes wide with terror. A cold wave of dread washed over me. If he couldn't escape, what chance did we have? And then, we heard it, a low growl, guttural and menacing. It reverberated through the cavern, sending shivers down our spines. From the shadows emerged the man from the gas station, his smile wider than ever, his eyes gleaming with manic pleasure. His gaze swept over us, lingering on the fear etched on our faces. You thought you could escape, he chuckled, his voice dripping with sadistic amusement. You thought the old man could help you. But he was just another pawn in my game. He revealed a horrifying truth. The man at the gas station wasn't just a predator, he was a deranged collector, obsessed with capturing those who stumbled onto his desolate hunting ground. The photo, the abandoned truck, the old man, all carefully orchestrated parts of his twisted play, and now, we were the final prize. Desperate, we lunged for the pump, hoping to use it as a weapon. But he was faster, his movements blurring as he disarmed us with practiced ease. We were trapped, cornered like prey in a predator's den. His laughter echoed in the cavern, a chilling soundtrack to our despair. As he closed in, his eyes glinting with malevolent glee, I realized there was no escape. The darkness hadn't just stalked us, it had consumed us. The story ends with a horrific realization: escape was never an option. The darkness they encountered wasn't just a force of nature, but a sadistic monster who orchestrated their every move. The final image of the predator closing in, their laughter echoing in the darkness, leaves a chilling sense of finality and despair.